Okay, here we go. You should be seeing my screen. So welcome to this webinar titled "What is Returnship?" brought to you by We Are Pistachio and ReachHire. We are so excited and grateful to ReachHire and the entire team for bringing this and partnering with us. We wanted to talk a little bit about what is the essence of We Are Pistachio, and pictures always speak better than words. So we wanted to show you an image which really captures the sense of any relocating spouse pre-relocation, right? You have it all. You have a great career, you have friends and a social network. I've been there, my co-founder has been there, our team has been there, and you're like on top of the world. And then suddenly you move to another place and you're overwhelmed with boxes. And you're not just unpacking your possessions, but you're unpacking what lies ahead of you in terms of your career. And what we realized is that the relocating spouse is often alone in this moment of vulnerability. And We Are Pistachio is on a mission to change that. Our mission is that no relocating spouse should ever be alone. And that is really what drives us every day. We are unique because we are built by relocating spouses for relocating spouses. All our members tell us, well, we love to come to you because you get us. And that's really the essence. And we want our relocating spouses to thrive in this adventure. We provide upskilling opportunities, mentoring programs. We just launched our mentoring program last month. We provide networking opportunities like these. We partner with organizations for events, all with one purpose, which is to help our relocating spouses thrive. We get asked this question all the time: what's in a name? We're a bit nutty. We wanted to move away from the words trailing spouse to something evocative. And just like the pistachio nut, we're open. It's known as the happy nut in China. We're global, tough, and nutty because you've got to be nuts to move to a place, leaving your job and family. Like I said, we are built by relocating spouses. My name is Aditi. I'm the founder and chief relocating spouse. No stranger to relocation, moved across 4 countries in 5 years, and really was frustrated on this journey. And then we ended up meeting so many other spouses and really created the Pistachio. I'm going to go over to Deepali to ask her to introduce herself real quick. Go ahead, Deepali.
Hi, my name is Deepali Paul, and just like most of us on this webinar, my challenges started with relocation. That's how I connected with Aditi, and together we started this community. The purpose of this community is to help relocating spouses, kind of give them a social as well as a professional network, upskill them, and help them grow in whatever their career and social goals are.
Wonderful. Thanks, Deepali. And we have a team. Some of our team is on the call. So if you want to reach out to them, Ida, Anka, and Pratiti, they're probably on the call as well. With that, ReachHire, I've followed ReachHire for a while now, and I love what they say. They talk about how ReachHire is changing the trajectory for women and professionals by partnering with forward-thinking companies to create environments where people thrive, advance, lead, and stay. Such powerful words, and that's really what inspired us to reach out to them and say, hey, we would love for you to come and talk to our community. So thank you to the entire ReachHire team for being here today, and over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I just want to say a huge thank you to you all at We Are Pistachio. It's an honor to be partnering with you all, and I think we have shared missions in bringing communities of people together, whether it's your journey relocating from another country or your transition back to work. I think it's so important to have that support system of like-minded people who are on that same path to help you along the way. So before we dive into talking about Returnship, I'll tell you a little bit about who I am and who we are here at ReachHire. So my name is Ariel Gallipo, and I'm one of the program directors with ReachHire. And I actually manage what we call our Returnship programs. Here with me today, I also have Sarah White. She's the Director of Talent Acquisition. She works with all of our folks through each stage of the recruiting process. and also Lexi Rowe, who's our Master of Marketing and who has helped us pull this wonderful event together. Our team here at ReachHire supports our mission to help people who've been out of work get back in. And I think the reason we exist is because we've all applied to jobs, whether employed or unemployed, and no matter what, that experience can be nerve-wracking, it can often be dehumanizing, it can be unclear, and it can create lots of anxiety in that process. So we're here to change that process and really bring the human aspect back into recruitment and talent sourcing and help you throughout the way. Our returnship model does just that by bridging the gap between highly qualified talent like yourself and companies who just need to see your great talent and have the opportunity to connect and hear your story. And we do that by advocating on your behalf for more than just a name on a piece of paper on your resume, and help them understand the full value and experience that you bring. So generally speaking, let's talk a little bit more about what a returnship is. I know this is probably a new word for many. It certainly was a new word for me prior to joining ReachHire. But in short, it's just a specialized role comparable to an internship. It's for experienced professionals who've been out of the workforce and just are looking to restart their career. Returnships come in all sizes and varieties. Some companies recruit their former employees, some offer part-time roles, some offer full-time roles, some offer flexible hours, while some are fixed. So I think the goal is there's all shapes and sizes and varieties, and you need to find the right fit for you. And no matter what road you choose, they're all opportunities to ramp up and reskill. So I think that's another shared mission that we have with We Are Pistachio here, is the ability to help you get back, but also come back up to speed and develop continuously. At ReachHire, we do this through a 6-month paid position at a company and provide 360-degree support for you throughout the entirety of the program with a dedicated program manager like myself. Other programs are structured differently depending on the company, so I encourage you to do your research on what opportunities are available. Some of those offer workshops and career consultations, while other companies just function more as a generic job board that will help you to apply to the position at hand. Others actually offer online coursework that help you in your return back to work. So again, I think it's important to just do some research, see what's out there, collect the data, and then think about what will be the best fit for you. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the ReachHire Returnship and what our specific program offers. At ReachHire, we have 4 pillars of support that comprise our program. The first is customized training. And this is based on the client company where you'll be placed and working full time. So we really look to understand their culture, understand the skills that you'll need going into the job that you're filling, and develop a full week of training that is designed to set you up for success for both personal and professional growth. And again, I think this is really an area where we bring the human aspect back into the process. Yes, you're starting a new job and the skills are important, but equally as important is how you're going to navigate that through that transition. Adjustment with your family, adjustment with other commitments and things that you'll be juggling and will also have on your plate. So we'll focus on technical, business, professional, and also personal skills and developing, some self-awareness to help you through that process. You'll also have a dedicated program manager. That person will serve as a sounding board and a coach throughout your journey, particularly where we're working virtual in this current environment. It's helpful to have someone there to ask questions and to just be a non-judgmental support system for you throughout that transition period. In addition, you'll have a cohort of folks who are going through the same process with you. So all of our programs range from 4 to 40 people, and having those folks who are on the same journey can be really powerful in the shared learning and wisdom that you'll all develop. And finally, we have a network of support that ranges from our alumni, who are folks who have already gone through the program and been down this path, to client contacts in learning and development and executive sponsors who work with us at our client organizations to make sure that you are a success throughout your program and hopefully your long-term career at the firm. So now I just want to touch on the returner journey. Everybody's path is going to look a little bit different, but there are some things that one will start to think about when you're making the decision to apply for a returnship and head back to work. When looking at the returner journey, as you can see here, it's not a linear path. Maybe you took a career break because you wanted to raise your children, or maybe, like the poll said here today, you relocated to this country and now is your time and you're ready to get back to work. So it's important to understand why we're here, and we've identified 6 main stops on the returner journey that we'll talk about today. At some point after the first step, leaving the workforce, you'll start to consider returning to work. This is a time to assess where you are in your life, perhaps where your children are in their growth, if you want to have a more structured 9-to-5 type of day, or maybe you're just ready for a change or have the work authorization you've been waiting for. So whatever the case may be, start to consider some of the factors in your life so you can think about what type of job and returnship is the best fit for your situation. And that starts the consideration phase. You know you want to take the next step, but you don't necessarily know what you're qualified for, and you don't know how your skills or strengths translate into a specific job that you're seeing on a job board. It can be difficult to figure out where to start. There's a lot of information overload when it comes to applying to jobs and information that you have to sift through, but the key is that just to start and collect information, both internally and externally. So ask yourself some key questions, like what type of role do you want based on your strengths, what industry, and then think about some of the external factors. Are you looking full-time, part-time, project-based, permanent? Doing some of this reflection will help you to define the characteristics that you're looking for in your opportunity. And then you can start to research companies. Are there any particular targets that you want? And make sure that you're comfortable with the decision to go back to work. Once you have all of that great information collected, you need to evaluate what the best path forward is for you, your life, your family, and one that will make you fulfilled in this next step in life. Once you have that desired path, commit to it. Take action and start applying. Start applying to roles, start networking with friends and family, begin creating your resume and cover letter for the role you envision yourself in. And we always say, as Sarah will talk about, it's good to be really specific about the role that you're going to be applying for, and connect with others who can support you on your journey. And you have all already taken this step. You're doing this today by attending the webinar, getting connected through We Are Pistachio. So a huge kudos to all of you for continuing on and taking action here. So regardless if you've asked yourself all of these things or some of these things, or wherever you are in the journey, being a returner can spark a lot of conversation with your family, with yourself, and it may feel overwhelming as you navigate into corporate America. But it's absolutely something that you can do, and you have a lot of support here in the way of We Are Pistachio, companies like ReachHire, and companies that also offer returnships whose mission is to do just that. So now I want to talk a little bit about why returnships are helpful and how they'll help you catapult back into the workforce. Returnships really provide you a way to get acclimated to a new company in the corporate environment. It allows for that transition and learning curve to be built into the hiring process. It allows you time to get settled into a 9-to-5. Figure out what that day-to-day is going to look like for you. And again, this may be part-time or full-time, and you need to figure out what will be the best fit given your personal situation. Either way, a returnship is an opportunity to sharpen your skills and hone your confidence. At the end of ReachHire's program, in any program that you participate in, you'll have gained invaluable experience from working with key decision makers, sharpening your skills, and contributing to a reputable organization. So that will allow you to update your resume with some great experience and project work that you will always be able to carry forward with you in your career. And so to bring this entire returnship experience to life and really put the human aspect in it, I'm thrilled to welcome Snehal. She joined Fidelity in the fall program in 2019 in a technology role and has been working for Fidelity ever since. So I will let you take it from here to share your story.
Thank you so much, Arya. Hello, everyone, and you're very much in the right place if you're looking for a great career ahead, is what I can say. First of all, I'll introduce myself to you. I am Snehal, and I came to ReachHire basically through one of my friends. She told me about it, and just like you, I was in search of some success in searching a job. Whereas I had tried a couple of other things, but it did not work out, and ReachHire was just one opportunity that I would say I took. And today I am in Fidelity as a software engineer, which is something I'm living my dream. To like ReachHire is something that really has a proper setup that a returner needs, is what I feel. And not only that, but having a break and then resuming into the workforce is not an easy thing. It is very overwhelming at times, especially if you have kids and family to take care of, but they are there to support. They'll definitely give you a very nice support if you uh, if you ask the right questions, basically. So I would always encourage you all to keep asking questions and keep going on the journey if you really are ready for it. Um, the other advice that I would like to share is you should be very clear on what kind of role you're looking for. And you should, if you have a network of people whom you can talk to who are already into those positions um, in their current life, then that will be very helpful for you to understand what kind of routine they live in their daily life, as well as what kind of trainings are required. Because though you feel that you have some experience into the field and you can catch up, but things have changed. Like for my through my experience, I feel I'm using the same tools that I used in my previous experience, but they have been changed from in and out. So though I knew the names of those tools, but those tools are no more the same, or they are not used the similar way that they were used maybe a few years back. So that is something I will definitely encourage you guys using Udemy courses or any kind of courses that will help you to come up to pace before even getting into the program. Otherwise, I would say that just be positive, and if you are a mom or a wife or handling couple of if you have experience having people management, then you are already halfway through, I would say, because this kind of resuming needs a lot of patience and lot of acceptance of things that you wouldn't have imagined. So there are things which might shock you, which might surprise you, which might give you a lot of happiness, which might take you down. There will be ups and downs, just like life already has with pandemics. So it's just a journey that it's a new phase to your journey, maybe. Just be positive about it and keep asking questions again and again. I'm saying that because that has helped me to step ahead and ahead, because the more you have answers to your questions, the more ahead you can go, is what I have learned. So that's all I can tell you. And good luck, and you're in the right place, in the right hands, is what I feel. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk to you all. All the best, everyone.
Thank you
All
for
right.
sharing your story with us today, Snehal.
Yeah.
My name's Sarah White. I'm the Director of Talent here at ReachHire, and thank you all for being here today. I'd love to start out just by sharing some tips to help you successfully re-enter the workforce. Of course, you don't have to do these in any particular order, I always say. It's just kind of start with something and build from there. I always recommend, of course, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, certainly to consider building one out and making sure that that has a professional headshot that you can share, which I know some people kind of panic about that part because they may not know a professional photographer, for example. That's okay. With all the smartphone capabilities that we have now with taking photos, there's pretty easy to get somebody maybe to help you out with a shot just from home and good lighting with, conservative dress, nothing distracting behind you, just kind of neck up. And there's your headshot. So it can be a pretty straightforward process, but it also brings kind of that human element into it to have your photo there along with your LinkedIn profile, I feel. Now, LinkedIn is, of course, a great tool most of us are pretty familiar with. I treat it as kind of a condensed version of your resume where you also now have the ability to add things like recommendations from past colleagues or managers of their experience working with you. You can join professional groups that are in line with, the type of role that you're seeking, or perhaps alumni association from where you went to school. The ability to express that you're seeking employment, which is huge, especially now with so many folks out of work, to really differentiate your profile from others. I also recommend, aside from LinkedIn, of course, you have to, of course, update the resume, which is oftentimes the hardest part for some folks because you are really kind of digging back a bit in terms of, years back in your experience, in terms of what you did, depending on how long you've been out, and really thinking about things like, what did I do 10 years ago at XYZ company, right? And, should I include that? Is that technology outdated now? I'm not sure where to begin. We always kind of have that mantra of, even if your resume isn't perfect, you may be perfect for one of our openings. So I encourage you to still get your resume in front of us, apply to a job if it interests you, and my team can help with that whole process of saying, okay, here's your framework. What else might we recommend that you add to really stand out to those managers that we work with? One thing I get asked about a lot as far as resumes go is how do I share my career break story? Or I've been doing volunteer work. Should I put that on there to kind of close up the gap a little bit? I always say, the biggest takeaway is not at all to be hesitant about, your career break story, or acknowledge it, definitely acknowledge that you do have that break. The managers that we work with here at ReachHire, they all understand the fact that the professionals we're presenting to them for their openings have career breaks, so there's no need to kind of hide it. They know these candidates will be a bit rusty and need that time to upskill. But this is all something that, because they understand this is critical to still include on the resume so that anyone viewing it understands, let's say 2015 to present, you've been on a career break, versus them maybe thinking, did I get an outdated resume? It suddenly stops at 2015, right? So you want to make sure to still acknowledge those years that you've been out. But you can keep it very straightforward. I encourage you to put that under your professional experience. Yeah, so my team, of course, conducts initial interviews with candidates to assess fit based on your work experience. Oftentimes we focus a lot on transferable skills. So sometimes people ask if,
kind of pivoting into a new career path might be possible. And, sometimes somebody who's been in, let's say, client services could get into account management or sales or HR, some certain roles there, right? There's different paths that those transferable skills may be applicable to, so we can talk about that. And of course, your recent upskilling efforts. Typically, we work with you initially over a 30 to 40-minute video interview. So this allows us to kind of get to know you better beyond just what's on paper. Post-interview, a lot of our clients look for skills assessments as well. So we use these as more or less a tool for you, almost like a study guide of sorts, that we don't share the results of these with the client, but it allows you to say, okay, here are some of the critical technical skills that might be required of this program or this role that I'm interested in. And where was I right? Where was I wrong? So that I can kind of hone in on where I might need more focus in my technical upskilling. So it's a really invaluable tool that a lot of people appreciate having. Our client lets us know after we share your resume with them if they'd like to meet you. So they do make those final choices as far as who gets that final round interview and then ultimately who gets hired for the opening in the program. So it is still somewhat selective, but we do our best, of course, to make sure that you're ready for that final interview, to put your best foot forward, and that you feel prepared for that interview with them. So some quick resume tips here I thought might be beneficial to share with you all. No matter your career length, I recommend still sticking to that 2-page limit. A lot of people are torn between, can I go even beyond 1 page? Or other people say, well, wait, I have 20 years of experience. How can I condense this down into 2 pages? It's really difficult. I mean, I know that you certainly don't want to sell yourself short, but I would say it is always okay to go on to that 2nd page once you've gone past that, 5 to 7 years of experience or so. You don't want to cut out too much that you are selling your skills short, but also keeping everything to that, like 4 to 6 key bullet points is what I recommend per job. Your resume should be more of a kind of like a reference guide that provides key highlights and accomplishments, any metrics achieved, dollars saved for the company, things of that nature that you're particularly proud of, versus the more granular details will oftentimes come out during the interview, where you talk about specific examples or projects that you were a part of. So keep everything simple as far as also your structuring, the formatting and fonts. I find it best to stick to just that traditional layout and let your skills speak for themselves. And keep everything, like I said, focused really on that results and stats versus every little thing that you might have done once or twice over the course of a 5-year time at a company. You don't need to get quite that granular on resumes. So now that you've kind of done this preparation work, how can you stand out from the others, you might ask? Especially now there's so many people that are unemployed, and if you've had a career break, kind of standing out from folks that have been much more recently employed is very difficult. So we've been hearing some kind of specific, like kind of I would say like continuous responses from our managers that we work with. That continuous learner mentality is really kind of that, they say attitude and aptitude are the 2 critical pieces. The ability to kind of say, okay, I've had experience, but the question is, can you adapt, whether it's to a new technology, maybe something's now, like Snehal mentioned earlier, you might have used the tool before, but now it's used in a different way, or maybe something that was done by you manually last time is now automated through this new software that you have to learn. So kind of having that realistic perspective and say, I'm here to learn and I'm ready to do this, kind of that taking the bull by the horns, that's really the attitude that the managers appreciate. But even if you've been out for a year, and especially in areas like tech, for example, so much changes. So it's acknowledging that you see the road ahead, you've started reading up on trends, talking to people that you know in that profession to get up to speed. That can be something like pursuing a certification in some cases could be a difference maker. You never know what's going to kind of really make you stand out. LinkedIn endorsements also, and recommendations, like I mentioned earlier, those past manager recommendations on your profile are great. Soft skills that, or even hard skills and software that people endorse you for is another tool that they have. asking for endorsements, right? You can do all of these things through the LinkedIn tool. And these tools and softwares you've used can also now be reflected at a quick glance to the reviewer beyond your resume. Candidates that do things like, kind of practicing, if you're a developer and you're practicing coding skills, or, instead of assuming that it's going to come right back to you, or someone who says, okay, there's trends in areas like data science. I think I'm going to look into studying that. I see data science now in all sorts of roles, right? It's not necessarily just tech. It could be somebody who knows data tools that are in finance, and they use some of the similar softwares, HR for hiring trend data and things of that nature. So data science is something that's not going to go away. I keep seeing that across the board. And I also, the last thing I would say is somebody who really takes the time to get to know the company and how to kind of their values, and the reading the About Us page and thinking about kind of if there's something that really hits home for you there or reflects on your values, and you can find a way to showcase that in your interview and mention this when you're interviewing, that also can really make you stand out, to show that you've done your homework and that you already feel like you're aligned with their philosophy and their way of working. So now we get to the area of upskilling. Now, some of these are a little bit more technically inclined, I would say, but we have been seeing a large majority of roles this year that have a technical slant to them. That said, we fill roles across the board. Like for Fidelity, for example, we fill roles financial analysis, project management, risk management. Last year we had some HR roles. There's certainly pretty widespread positions with that particular client, for instance. But upskilling, as we've talked about here, is really the key. There are resources like Udemy that is not just technical. You could use that to upskill in areas like, okay, I want to go from intermediate to advanced Excel. Udemy has very kind of lower cost courses that you can do at home as time allows. LinkedIn Learning is another great professional development resource. Coursera is another one that's a little bit more technically inclined. And then certifications in areas like project management, you can get your PMP certification, and reading up on things like agile methodology across the board in industry. Again, a lot of larger companies are working with this style of work, so that is something that I recommend a lot of folks to read up on. Even Google searching exercises that may be relevant to your field. This might be more applicable for someone in coding, for example, that can use that to kind of really kind of refresh their skills in Java, for example, again, and kind of do that practicing at home. Elevator pitches are another area that I do want to cover. It's there are kind of two that I think of here. One being during an interview where you're asked that question that people often dread of, tell me about yourself. And the other that's a little bit more in that networking kind of environment where somebody asks you, what do you do? And you really have maybe a minute or less to capture their attention before they're kind of circulating onto other people, right? So you want to capture their attention if there's someone that you're interested in speaking with. For the first one, you want to start with a leading hook, something that's going to capture their interest and keep them listening. Share your focus or passion next that your role or area of expertise is focused in, and something that you're the expert in, and this is why you're here interviewing. If you know something about your background that ties in well to the company culture or focus, definitely share that, and end with your summary of why you'll be a great fit for this company. Now, in a typical elevator pitch length, you might, like I said, have a minute or less to share, but in an interview case, this really gives you the floor for at least a few minutes, right, where you can kind of expand upon summary of why you're here and why you're the right fit for the role. But encourage you to keep everything focused professionally and not as much in the personal life section. It's really about, summarizing your professional experience. In a professional networking setting, you have less time, of course, to capture that individual's attention. So what do you say here? If you follow this kind of general formula, this is a good kind of start for a strong hook. If this was me, for example, I might say something like, I help professionals find job opportunities that enable them to get back to the workforce after an extended career break, where they often struggle to find those opportunities that are willing to give them that chance to get their foot back in the door. So that might be my example that would capture someone's attention. Start to think about what yours might be, because you never know in networking settings when that type of question might be thrown your way. These are the type of roles, as I mentioned earlier, that we've been seeing most frequently this year. I will say they have been much more technically geared around project and program managers, software developers, data and business analytics, couple of product manager roles, and then a little bit of tech support. But that said, you know, as I mentioned earlier, it does not mean we don't place in roles outside of tech. We certainly do. This has been an unusual year, I think, as we all know. So it just seems to be where a lot of our clients' needs are lying as they're trying to adapt to the changing times and people being more remote. So a little bit more tech heavy this year in terms of recent roles, but I do expect as we go into 2021 and beyond, we'll continue getting much more diversity in the role titles that we're focused on. As mentioned, you know, we do have also this your dream job that we encourage you to apply to if you're interested in kind of coming into our world, getting onto our email communications list. It allows you to stay informed about our upcoming job opportunities and new program launches. Certainly feel free also to follow us on social. We are on, of course, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. So feel free to follow us there and kind of keep up to date on all things ReachHire. Thank you all so much for your time today. And I think we're going to open it up now to some of your questions.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Let me go ahead and turn on my video so that you guys can see me as well. Thank you, Sarah and Ariel. And as Hannah placed in the chat, if you have any questions, please continue to place those in the chat and then we'll go ahead and answer them live. Any questions that we do not, we cannot answer because of time, feel free to email us at info@reachhire.com, but we will try to answer as many questions as we can now. So the first question, what makes me eligible for ReachHire's Returnship program? How long must my career break be?
Yeah, so typically most of our client programs are seeking a 2+ year full-time career break. That said, I've seen, you know, a lot of times when we start the recruiting process, we may start, for example, in November for a program that's launching in, let's say, March, right? So, you know, when you think about that, that allows another 4 months to have gone by. So I always say to people, if you're at that roughly 1.5 year mark now, it's a perfect time to start applying or see, you know, kind of looking into different opportunities, because by the time the program launches, you'll be at that 2-year mark. So I would say anyone who's 1.5 years and beyond certainly would be typically of interest to our full-time returnship programs. But I always also say feel free to engage with us earlier too if you just want to get the process started, start getting your resume together. It's a little bit of a long road, so we're here to help on the preliminary activities as well.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. It is, Sarah mentioned, feel free to engage with us. And so just from an engagement standpoint, I have put on here different ways that you can engage with us. You can engage through our website, our social, and then also through email. And if you ask any questions, we will be sure to get back with you. The second question, is there a cost associated with ReachHire's services?
There is not, which is always kind of something people are happy to hear, of course. You know, we believe in not charging for you know, any of the services we're providing. And the great thing too is if you're landing one of the spots in a returnship program, you're getting paid too to upskill and refresh your skill set, which is always the best part, best of both worlds there. You're working, getting paid, upskilling, and getting that time and support that you needed. But yeah, we don't charge for things like resume reviews or any kind of like, you know, getting you back up to speed.
Perfect. And I just want to reiterate, there is no cost. So we love helping, and our mission is really to help people get back to work. And so feel free to engage with us there. In what type of industries have previous ReachHire returners been placed? So I know that you mentioned, you know, we've seen a lean toward tech and software engineering, but can you explain the program a little bit further?
Yeah, so we have clients that are in different industries ranging from telecom, financial services, the retail sector, consulting. You know, we've worked in the past with a pretty wide range of different kind of verticals that our clients are focused in. Each client sometimes we have certain clients like Fidelity, T-Mobile that come around usually yearly and say, okay, this year's program we need some returners that are focused in the following areas. So some years it can vary client to client in terms of what they feel they'd like to kind of have additional support in from their workforce planning. As far as this year is more financial analysts at Fidelity, and next year it might be software developers, right? And we have a client, Wayfair, for example, that is a lot more scattered, that has positions ranging from supply chain roles to HR and college campus recruiting, manufacturing, things like that. So it is pretty wide ranging.
Perfect. And if you go on our website and if you plug into the newsletter as well, you'll see all of the different industries that we start to engage with as we roll out different programs throughout the year. So feel free to stay engaged, and you'll see how the industries will shift and move with whatever our clients' needs are. So the next question, most of us have relocated from other countries. How accommodating or open-minded are recruiters and managers to non-local experience?
Yeah, I actually have seen, I often wondered about that when I first started working here too. And I've seen quite a large number of our managers are very interested in folks that have internationally based experience. Particularly large company international backgrounds, which a lot of our candidates seem to. They worked for like a Deloitte, for example, that has presence in multiple countries. There's definitely some interest there, and even if it's just international, it's a matter of how the skills that you have, like the software background, things like that are transferable into the environment that they're working in. I would say that if there's some aspects that are just something you just haven't done, but you've got that kind of framework and foundation, a lot of these programs are designed exactly for that, is like kind of fill in the missing pieces and allow you to kind of be kind of shadowing and learning maybe the slightly different way of doing it here, or that new software that you just hadn't had a chance to utilize before.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. The next question, how do you assist returner applicants with rejection? Do we provide feedback or coaching to rejected candidates?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that with rejection, we definitely are always working with our client to, number one, get you specific feedback, because nothing hurts more than finding out you didn't get the job and then not knowing why. Like, could I have done something different? Or was it really not maybe something I could have done differently, but they went with somebody with 2 more years of experience and that was the only deciding factor? In that case, you kind of walk away feeling a little bit better, but it's still hard. So yes, it is something that we're actually always working on, building out more kind of content and support to continue working with you and say, okay, we didn't get this one, unfortunately. Here was the feedback. Perhaps, as we continue working together, that's maybe that one area that you continue to focus on upskilling in, and that next program that comes around, maybe that'll be the one for you. In addition to providing additional resources around, we have some, career coaches that we partner with that might be able to aid in certain kind of providing you some additional direction on where do I go from here. And also my team, of course, is here to be a sounding board as well.
Thank you. And then the last question that I have, what does the pay look like for a returnship? Is it competitive or is it more entry level?
I would say it's competitive in that, it's not necessarily in line exactly with market rate, because it is acknowledging that there's been a career break and you still need some time to refresh and update certain skills you might be missing in. But it's not at the level of, let's say, down like at a college intern either that has a paid internship. It's oftentimes people are much more pleasantly surprised by the level of pay. It does vary. I've seen as everything ranging from the 30s to and up, per hour. It's a contract position, so you are paid hourly. But it does vary depending on the level of position, the years of experience they're seeking, things like that.
Absolutely. And I just want to re-echo Sarah's point that, our returnships offer positions in a variety of levels of career. And so it's definitely across the board. And it's not a one size fits all, but we do work to make sure that they are competitive.
Yep.
So moving to, there are a couple more questions that are coming in. I've held multiple positions in different fields. How would you advise I find a career focus? Are there resources that we can recommend?
Yes, so we do have some career coach partners that we're, for those folks that are kind of trying to find that path forward. I mean, I'm also happy to help. I have over a decade of TA experience, where I've kind of worked with people kind of figuring out, okay, what's the transferable skills that you have here? Do you want to make that change to something new and different? Or is it really like, I want to continue in this path, but I've been out of this path longer than my most recent job, or something along those lines. What can I do to get up to speed on the current trends? We're happy to answer kind of those short, quick questions. Other times folks might feel like they need a career coach or a life coach or somebody. We don't offer that particular service in-house, but we do have people we can refer out to for that as well.
Absolutely. And feel free to reach out to us too for those recommendations as well. Do we anticipate having a financial sector program opportunity in the near future? So somewhere in the finance sector?
Right off the bat, the next opportunity I know is happening, we would start recruiting for in the probably early Q2 of next year, when that would be with Fidelity. Depending on where you're based, it might depend on that. A lot of our programs are kind of location specific. You never know though, with the times we're in, certain clients may start opening up to more remotely based employees as well. So we're, we'll see what happens on that front, but we do have some clients with roles in the financial space, yes.
Perfect. So as Sarah and Ariel articulated, ReachHire is here to truly support the returnship experience. We recognize that, through other application processes, it might be a little difficult. People might want a little bit more support as you're re-entering the workforce. Feel free, as Ariel said, to do research on different returnships, but definitely come to ReachHire and we can have a one-on-one conversation around what you would like. Fill out your dream job application. That just allows us to keep you in our nucleus, and if something comes up that we feel like your qualification strongly aligns to, we would love to engage with you further. We'll continue to grow this partnership with We Are Pistachio, and we sincerely appreciate them for giving us the opportunity to meet with you all and become family. So I just want to pass it over to We Are Pistachio for their closing remarks.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Ariel, Sarah, Lexi, Snehal, for just taking us on this journey to understand returnship, and then going into so much detail of what it really means, for our career, and even on a day-to-day basis, how does that transition look like? So we're really grateful for this session. Zoom bumping notwithstanding, our apologies again. It's the first, we'll ensure it'll be the last. Just want to reiterate, if you want to connect with us at We Are Pistachio, drop us a line at connect@wearepistachio.com. We definitely look to this as a beginning of a partnership with ReachHire, and just wanted to clarify, Lexi, that the next step for anybody is to just go on to your website, fill in that form, or shoot you an email at your address. Would that be the next steps for somebody who wants to do a returnship?
Absolutely. So they can go on your dream job, they can fill out your dream job application on our website, and that will allow them to submit their resume. It tell us a little bit more about the things that they're interested in and the industries that they're interested in. They can also, to Sarah's point, send us an email with their resume, just talking to us about, this is kind of what I'm interested in, if they have any additional questions. I know that there were a couple questions that we still weren't able to get through. So if you want to send your questions through to info@reachhire.com, reachhire.com. We'll definitely answer those as well. Feel free to reach out via social media. So we post quite often around different tips and tricks that people can use on their resumes, but also as they're navigating this journey back into their career. And then lastly, you know, we will be, you know, continuing the partnership with We Are Pistachio, right? And so
Oh, did we lose her?